Welcome to MYMOON Power Musings. And today we're joined by my dear friend and amazing sister. And she also lives here with me in Avalon, not in the same house. We live near each other. And this is Freya Rose Birch. So thank you so much for joining my love.
Thank you, Chloe, and thank you, beautiful ones. It's so nice to be here.
So Freya she's one of those people that is like all round magical and incredible, and just by being in Freya's presence, like your whole life like lights up. If I'm in a bad mood and I feel like, oh, I just need a bit of like joyfulness, I'll go and call Freya. And she also runs the most incredible program called Embodied Birthing, and it's all about how to connect to your pleasure whilst you're pregnant, and to allow any of the traumas and experiences that you need to process through pregnancy to come up to the surface. And she holds such a beautiful space for this, and then also prepares women to have ecstatic births and to have orgasmic births as well. So today we're going to be talking about birth in general, but also what birth has on an impact on our lives, and how that is a pattern that is constantly playing out, and how we can recode that as well. And then Freya is also going to talk about her birth story, and what an ecstatic and what an embodied birth actually is, and like how we even get to that point. So thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited for you to be here and to have this conversation as well. So yay, welcome Freya.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And I'm so happy to be here and to share with you all. And thank you, Chloe, for inviting me into this space.
Yeah. So babes, let's talk about like, how did you get into this work? Like what was your gateway into it all?
So the gateway was birth itself. I always say birth is my greatest teacher, and I see birth. And actually later on I did my master's in transpersonal psychology and studied shamanic aspects of birth. And one of the themes that came through is birth as itself is a teacher. It brings lessons, it brings a gift. And whether that's teaching the birth keeper at every birth, that's teaching the mother how to parent that child. There's an energy about birth, which is, a great teacher. So I see birth as my greatest teacher and as women's greatest teacher. And so I learned a lot of what I teach now. In my labour, it was actually a 50-hour labour, and I went through so many initiations and met so many parts of myself. And I can elaborate a bit more on some of the things. And then it ended up in this beautiful and ecstatic birth where I could just feel the divine light of the cosmos moving through my body gently opening, and beautiful baby Arteus, who's now 7, joining us earthside in ecstasy and love and harmony. But there was many gateways and initiations of meeting emotions, meeting fear, meeting pain on the deepest of levels that got me to that point. So now what I do is I guide women through that in their pregnancy. So ideally those places are met, and then when things come up, it's like a little bit more easeful and graceful and beautiful. And it's about really going deep into like understanding and understanding and knowing oneself, because birth's going to bring everything up. And it's like not like we're trying to make it not bring everything up. It's like when this stuff comes up, we're like, oh yeah, we know that place in ourselves, and we know how to meet it, and we can move through it. And that's when the ecstasy is able to come. Where in pregnancy as well, any places, or even before pregnancy, that have been frozen or not met get to be seen and get to be experienced, and then that opens up the body for more pleasure. So it's really interesting because people come to me for ecstatic birth, and we do a lot of pleasure and sensuality, but there's also a lot of meeting our core wounds and learning how to be able to feel those places, but from a place of pleasure. So it's a lot of meeting pleasure and pain during the journey, which is again what happens in birth. Meeting pain with pleasure, and pleasure with pain, all the way through this interplay in this dance. And we're talking about physical pleasure and pain, but also emotional and spiritual and ancestral.
Oh my goodness, it's so much, isn't it? I mean, I haven't gone through pregnancy and birth yet, but it's high on my agenda too. And but what I feel that I see in other women is that pregnancy seems to be like a big purge. Like anything that you haven't dealt with is coming up to the surface to be to be witnessed and to be felt. And,
Exactly.
yeah.
And it's part of this beautiful way of nature, and actually the whole energy is opening, the psyche is opening, and so you can go even a lot deeper into the things that are coming up, because the openness that's allowing you to excavate things that might not be, you know, readily available to the psyche, to the consciousness. And you know, there's that cliche, isn't there, that women are a bit crazy when they're pregnant. And it's meant to be like that, because pregnancy is an initiation. It's nature's. Men go through their initiation rites, well, ideally in a culture, and we had a natural initiation of pregnancy and birth, and yeah, with all initiation rites, there's a little bit of pain and a little bit of struggle to help us to meet those places in ourselves, to actually face death of the ego. So yeah, the way I see it is, this is nature's natural initiation, and taking us into those deeper places.
Wow, oh my goodness. And what was your birth like? So
oh, it was amazing, and also an initiation. So it was a home birth, and it was a home birth into water, which was exactly what I wanted. And it was a 50-hour labor, so it started off really beautiful, actually. And I've got my beautiful friend videoing me, and I'm on the birthing ball, and it just started, and I'm like, oh, I'm expanding into the contractions. Take a video of me in my kimono. And I
can imagine that.
And I haven't shared the video, because I'm like, that is not what birth's like. By the end, when I'm wild hair and screaming, I'm like, everybody out. No videos. So yeah. It started off very beautiful, and I was like, oh, this is it, I'm expanding. Yeah, video this bit, let's get the altars out and the crystals. And it was really beautiful, but in fact, it went wild and primal way past that. And I felt, as the birthing field really started to move, they didn't really care about the crystals or the altar and the things I thought were like really important. I had already prepared, because there was like a lot of a deeper journey, and I thought I wanted a lot of support, and I did have a lot of support, which was amazing. I had sisters, and had a doula, and had an independent midwife, so I was very well supported, and that was really beautiful. And I had like massage in the bath, I had drumming, all the things.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point. It was, I think it was after the first night or something like that. Time's a bit of a blur, but there was a point where I was by the fire, and I could just feel the fire calling me to go in, calling me deeper within these deep inner recesses of the body and the psyche. It was so deep, and I had to just say, everybody's got to leave, except the midwife. She can stay in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But even I just had to go in. So everybody was amazing, and obviously there was stuff coming up, and stuff comes up about, oh, how are they going to feel about this? But luckily my midwife was like, don't worry about anybody else. Everybody just wants the best for you. But that was one of the things I had to learn. Everything that happens is something that you need to learn. So I was gradually learning and integrating as I went. And there's a lot longer integration. It can take a while afterwards to, like with any big experience, to integrate the lessons in the birth. And anyway, so I was going on this inward journey, and actually it was going quite slowly at this point. So it could have speeded up a bit. It'd been going on for like a while.
Go on, Dante.
So I was like, okay, I'm ready. And then I actually went on the phone to one of my beautiful sisters. It's funny, because on my birth plan it said like no technology, and I was really strict about technology, and I was like, if anybody needs to go on the phone or anything like that, they've got to go out, they've got to go to the end of the garden, they've got to have a smudging before they come back in. I know that, like with any birth plan, it changes, and I was like, actually, I want to go on the phone. Don't mind technology after all. So you just don't know what you're going to want, and it's great to have the plans, and then it's great to be flexible. So wanted to get on the phone to a beautiful sister who I thought was really tuned into my womb, who'd also been supporting me during the pregnancy. And she was like, what is it that's holding you back?
And did you feel like that something was holding you back?
Yeah, it was taking, it was, and I was like, what is it? So this is the deeper calling in. And I was like, oh, my mum had died like 5 years earlier, and I'd been through the grieving process. Of course, that's still always present. But I was like, oh, I don't know if I can mother without my mother. I just don't know if I can be a mum without my mum. Oh, my whole body was like, and then I was like, and I might not have any support. And then Kenny, my partner at the time, my little boy's dad, we're co-parenting, but we're really close friends. And he was like, oh, but I'll be there for you. I was was like, why didn't you say that earlier? But anyway, I was like,
my
oh,
goodness.
and then I just felt my body opening,
Yeah.
and it started to, everything started to move. And now when I'm supporting women in pregnancy and birth, I really encourage them just to voice whatever it is and to feel into it, to go in wherever it is, just to share and just, bring it up and out and allow people to respond to you. And felt a big opening then. And, I think there was tears and just feeling that and honouring my mother. So then it really picked up. And that's another thing that I learned through birth. And I think Ina May Gaskin already had worked that out, that the cervix starts to open as we release emotions. I think Ina May Gaskin in her book has written a lot about being with women, and as soon as they release an emotion around, especially if it's in relation to being a mother, but it could be any sort of emotion that they're worried about, the cervix can just open. It's so directly related, and that's why we do a lot of emotional work on embodied birth experience. But of course, there's might be more to do, but doing it in pregnancy can really support the process. And I found, especially if there's places in you that aren't quite ready to be mum, like that place, I didn't know about that place, even though I was doing a lot of birth preparation as well. Sometimes it's actually birth that brings you to that altar, that labour, where you really get it. Because I had been excavating things, but that level of really getting to the core was in the labour. And there's a problem with births being rushed, because if people in the hospital system, it might be like, oh, it's already been going on for a day. That could mean you might need an intervention. Or it actually means you actually need to go a layer deeper and release emotion, or deal with something that wants to be met. And I found this a lot when I've been at births, where sometimes they call it labour stalling, where it might slow down for a bit, which is usually a good time to have a rest or trust what's going on. But usually in that time where we're trusting the body, letting their body rest, I'm with the woman, and we find there's something there, like it might be a mother wound or a father wound or something that just needs to be acknowledged and met. And it's so interesting how then the labour will just pick back up once that's met and held. And sometimes I might embody the Divine Mother and say the words that they need to hear from the mother, or sometimes it's an actual call to the mum. It's whatever it is, and we can figure it out, and then the labour will just be flowing again. So so
this is so amazing.
So a lot of time there's an intervention where really that's not what's the thing. So it's about giving this spaciousness and the time for women that whatever time it is. And I have a client that actually was 6 days in labour.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's how long she really feels, that's how long she needed. She had a beautiful vaginal birth. Often they're a lot quicker than that, because they're different, but she had a beautiful vaginal birth. It was incredible, and she was 6 days with her baby. She had a beautiful mantra come through about riding the surges. And unfortunately, the midwife left, all the care left, and she just fully trusted her.
Wow.
The waters were broken, and she just trusted that connection with her baby and her body, and had a beautiful birth. But there was a lot of things that she really needed to meet for her healing. So just good to know.
Wow. Oh my god. It's just 6 days. That's a long time. Oh my goodness. Yeah, because it's so fascinating how birth can impact us as well. And this is like something that I've been working with quite deeply at the moment, and how each one of us come into this world, and our birth encodes us, and that encoding then repeats and repeats and repeats, and we don't even know it. It's so extraordinary. Recently I was doing this course, and it was called The Shamanic Dimensions of Pregnancy, and you had to research your it was with Jane Hardwick Collins. You had to research your birth story, and I had researched my birth story, but only from the perspective of my mother. And so I was like, I mean, good God, like I was induced. Then she had an epidural, and then there was a forceps as well. So within that whole story, the induction means often feels like I'm not quite ready. Like I have this energy in me. Sometimes I'm like, wait, I'm not quite ready. Hold on, I'm not quite ready. And then the epidural, then all of a sudden I'm rushing. So it's like leave things to the last minute, and then rush, and just like gotta get it done like immediately. And then this forceps is for me always this feeling that I always need help. And so it's like the forceps pulling me out is like this, I always need help to get stuff done. And so once I had this information, it's like, oh, okay, I can understand why this pattern is repeating, over and over and over, and not wanting to be like that, but then just it completely going on and on. And then this other piece that was so huge, when I recently did this course, is asking from my dad's perspective what my birth was like from him, because I had obviously had it from my mum. And it's so fascinating, because what I noticed, like, that was repeating and repeating and repeating in my relationships with men, was oftentimes I would feel like that I wasn't being met in the way that I wanted to be met, or like not supported in the way that I wanted to be supported. And oftentimes I would say things like, "You've not got capacity for me, you can't hold me." "You've not got time for me, I'm not important to you." And anyway, when that was on repeat like a few times, I was thinking, hey, hold on a second, I don't think it's them, I think it's actually me, like something that is going on within me. And then I spoke to my dad, and I was like, "So Pups, like, what was my birth like for you?" And he's like, "Oh, Chloe, it was such a long time ago, I don't even know if I can remember fully." And I was like, "Come on, you can remember." And he was like, "Well, you know, it was so emotional for me, I was really very emotional, and I was so worried that I was going to drop you." And I said, "Oh, so did you pick me up after I was born?" And he said, "No, I did not. I was just terrified I was going to drop you." And I was like, "How many days was that?" And he's like, "Well, you're in hospital for 10 days." And I said, "And I didn't pick you up in that whole time." And I was like, "Wow, okay." And then when I got home, he was like, "Well, I'm not sure." So anyway, so I can see how this pattern then of this repeating issue from birth, that is not from a lack of love in any way at all. It was just my dad not being able to deal with his emotions, you know. And but yet it was repeating and repeating in my relationships. And so this is why I feel like it's so important for us to bring our birth stories up to our awareness, you know, so that these events actually aren't running our lives the whole time, you know, which it has been for me. I'm not saying this is for every person, you know, this is my experience. But the beauty of Freya's work, thank God, is that we can actually recode our birth story. So we can have these experiences happen to us, but they don't have to run our lives and be something that is a repeating pattern. So babe, talk us through like how the birth recoding, and like also what you've experienced with it as well. I'd love to know.
Yeah. Great, yeah, thank you, Chloe, thank you for sharing that. I've heard it, but yeah, thank you for sharing it eloquently again. And yeah, it actually is an imprint that will be imprint for everybody playing out. That you know, that's our first initiation. Of course, there's conception, which is also, you know, running its own stories within our body as our birth is, and creating this like a template for the way we experience life, and the way, especially with the way we bring things into the physical. And obviously you're birthing lots of things all the time, or you know, so, and in relationships, anything new, so we're bringing something from the unseen realms to the physical, and that could be like a book or a project or a product or a new version of ourselves, whatever that is that we're bringing into the world anew. These patterns may arise, this template for how we experience, you know, that, or it could be a big life change, like a move, or you know, a breakup. But there's patterns that are there, and which come from birth. And yeah, we can recode these patterns. I've been on like lots of different types of workshops, some in person, and you know, some there's like rebirthing with breath work, and I run now as part of embodied birth experience. But a lot of people want to recode their birth, either side of, like, you know, if they're birthing a project, I work with entrepreneurs who are like birthing a book, and we can actually go into what's called the perinatal unconscious, and that's that part of the unconscious that's activated during a birth as well, and all of these memories are stored in the body. So we go in, and through actually allowing the body to feel exactly what happened, and then feeling that and releasing that, we're then in a really deep, like, meditative space, bring in like a new feelings and new sensations of being born in the most ecstatic and exquisite way, and just let the body and the nervous system and the permeation unconscious, which is storing all of that, just have a different experience. And that actually really does change then the way we experience life, which is incredible. And I went through this myself as well. My own birth and my own journey was also mum having painkillers when I was in the birth canal, had a lot of abandonment stuff, just the cord being cut straight away, being swaddled. I always had a big yearning for this deep soul connection, but it was that moment where they put a lot of swaddling on, and I couldn't feel my mum. And then I was always like wanting this deeper connection and wanting my boyfriend to be doing more, because I wanted to be deeper, but it was really that yearning for that deep soul connection of the mother in those moments where it was quite traditional to wrap me in lots of things and not do skin to skin. So there's many different things. Also that welcoming, where we first get welcomed to the earth, can really affect the way we maybe feel when we walk into a room full of people. So yes, there's a lot of different paths that affect different areas of our life. And I also had, when I was trying to bring anything into the physical, because my mum had painkillers in the birth canal, and I felt abandoned, and I was also helped out as well. I also had that thing of like, when I was trying to bring anything into physical, my pattern was that there'd be a catastrophe. And there was just a pattern of every time when I was doing my masters, every time before an essay was due in, I was thinking the course tutor's going to think I'm making this up. The essay's due in, I'm about to finish it, and then my computer breaks, or there's been a disaster, I've had to go and rescue somebody. Just like this big drama. You're not going to believe me the next time. But luckily, because it was a transpersonal psychology course, and that we helped to unravel that it was some birth stuff that was almost creating these patterns in my life. So then through repatterning, recoding this, I can say that I'm able to bring things into the physical without there being a big drama or catastrophe, and it's so good.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, and it directly affects the way we give birth as well. So on embodied birth experience, we recode the birth, and women have noticed, say for example from their first birth, where there might have been a particular thing that happened in the first birth, well, after we recoded their birth, the second birth just is a lot smoother. It's making a significant difference. And it's something that I think is beautiful part of the thing that I offer. And I just feel like even doing that before pregnancy is probably a really good idea.
Definitely, really good idea. Or just any phase of life. Amazing. And I think like once these pieces are revealed, there's just such a huge aha moment, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I've been living my life like this and just haven't known all the time.
I know, just even having some reflection on it can really help, so everybody can just start.
Huge.
It's amazing. And the other thing to remember is, if your mum or dad doesn't know or doesn't remember, your body remembers. So although I couldn't get much information from my mum because she had passed away by the time I got interested in this, and my dad was giving a bit of information, like the painkillers and stuff, but there wasn't so much to go on. My body just remembered. And when I did the first birth recoding, I came out and I had a lot of stuff at the back of my throat, and my nose was really hurting. And then the person who was facilitating me was like, oh, you probably had that thing where they sort of clear the airways straight away. And my body just remembered. So even if it's great to get information and to start to notice the patterns and reflect, but if it's something that, if somebody's passed away in your family, or you don't feel like you can talk to them, the body already remembers. So it's something that you can re-experience.
Wow. It's so strong, isn't it? We're so incredible, like having all of these memories inside of ourselves and not even knowing that they're there and they're stored there. It's really amazing. And then another huge part of your work is around pleasure and sensuality, and can you talk about that and why you feel like it's so important to have that activated as you go into birth as well?
Yes, sure. I love to talk about that. Thank you.
Freya and I are just basically our whole existence together is like, are we having a pleasurable experience?
We have such a good time.
I know we do.
So the hormones, the natural hormones before birthing, the beta endorphins and the oxytocin are the same as making love, as pleasure. And yeah, these hormones are what opens the body, allows the uterus to expand, and just allow you to feel in ecstasy and pleasure. And it's all really being really in the body. So I can talk, because we talked a little bit about my birth earlier, but I can talk about the moment when I surrendered into the body. So the pleasure practices really support us to move into the body. When I say pleasure practices, they do intertwine with grief practices. It's not bypassing. It's all of it, and it's being able to even meet those places of grief in a pleasurable way. And so yeah, in my birth, lots happened since then, but I'm in the water, and it's sort of going a bit more now, but still there's something. And it was that I was actually trying to get away from the sensations. I was sort of like, trying to get away. I wasn't fully surrendered, and I had surrender like written up as one of my affirmations. I knew like surrender was a thing. We all know we want to surrender. And then I was like, actually, I don't know if I actually know what surrender actually is. Like, I'm not sure what it is. How do I translate that into an experience? I've written about it and I know I want to do it, but in this moment I don't know how to do it. And so I said to my midwife, I don't know if I know what that is. And running up the stairs trying to get away from it wasn't working. I think I ran upstairs once to try and get away from one. Definitely wasn't working. Oh my God. So I was like, okay, something needs to change. And she was like, become curious, just become really curious about the sensation. So I was guided into curiosity about the sensation, and just being with the sensation, and not judging it as painful or good or bad or difficult, but just being in this curiosity. And then that enabled me to fully drop deep into my body. And that's when everything changed. It was incredible. It was like the mind and the ego just went out the way. There was like, and I do believe that in birth there is this death of the ego, and just before that there was a lot of ego stuff, and I was thinking about things, and I was even starting thinking about my finances, and my midwife luckily was like, well, are you thinking about that now? And actually my friend came on the phone as well, and I was like, I'm worried about this and that, and they're like, are you thinking about that now? And that's part of that surrender, just completely letting go and letting go again and letting go again. And there's many parts of it, and forgiveness, anything that, just that release and forgiveness and letting go, and then coming just fully present and into the body. And that's when my body just started doing its thing. And I was out the way, as in like the ego and the mind, and the body just started doing its thing, and it was incredible. And actually, I'll tell you, my son, he was out within 40 minutes of that happening. That's when I went through the transition into the second stage. And then it was actually very quick. It was like in 40 minutes, I was just like completely out the way, and the body was just doing it. And I was just relaxed, laying back in the pool. There was no pain. And it was through that deep surrender into the body, which brought the pleasure. So yeah, then the pleasure started to move through my body, and the pleasure was building up. And I'd been working with the rose during pregnancy. Yes, and I was actually, my beautiful sister was bringing me roses, and I was watching roses and lilies opening every day. And I've been talking to my yoni, and I've been connecting with her. So yeah, another part of the work that I do is really connecting with the cervix and the yoni and the womb, but especially in pregnancy around the cervix and the yoni as well. And so I've been communicating with her just how I would, with a person, like saying, that we're going to be opening soon, and explaining what's happening, and doing some deeper healing with her. So I was with my yoni in connection with her as Altair was crowning, and I said I looked at the rose on the mantelpiece and felt the energy of the rose coming through, and I just said, we're going to open like the rose, and let my yoni know. And then she just opened like this rose, and I felt the rose there, and then I felt like this divine like rushes of light, and I thought, I'm just going to feel the energy, and I just felt him crowning, and absolutely no pain, and it was like much more pleasure than an orgasm. Just like the most pleasurable experience I could imagine, with the rose and all this divine light running through me, and I just was there.
Feel this right now. This is so nice. It's amazing.
I was just there feeling all this tingling. I think that must have been a lovely quick Arteus with this, when he was like that. I feel like that kiss of their third eye, or of the yoni, is just such a beautiful connection. So I could just feel that connection and this tingling and warmth, like about 1,000,000 times more than an orgasm. And I was like, oh. And then I just was there with that energy, and then he came out, without any pain, just absolute joy and pleasure. And I'm really deeply thanking the rose for guiding that journey, guiding me into that experience. And that's now what I just felt so compelled to share.
Yes, I'm not surprised. I would feel compelled to share that as well. Especially because there's just so many scary stories about birth, and there's so much fear around it, and to have had this embodied experience and to bring Arteis into the world like this, it's your duty to share it, isn't it? Really, it really is, truly.
Exactly. So it's such an honor to share that, and the pleasure practices and that dropping into the body and meeting everything are a big part of that. And we can start. I did all of that sort of like in the moment in the labor, but I believe that we can start before pregnancy or pregnancy, and just these are practices that you can get, like the body can get used to, so it can happen a bit more organically and a bit more quickly.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's a few things. Like, one, I wanted to talk about your connection with the rose, but then I also wanted to go into just for you to hold a little practice for us, so we can meet those parts within us. So,
I'd love that.
But should we do that first? What do you feel? Or the rose?
Should we finish the talking bit?
Okay. Well, let's finish talking about so we share a bit more about your connection with the rose.
So I was, the first time when I really started deeply connecting with the rose was when I first got back to England, and I'd moved to Avalon, which is where we are now. And before that, I mean, I lived in England when I was born, but I've been traveling a lot. I've been in like Middle and South America, and I was working with different plant medicines and shamans over there. And then I moved back. I was pregnant quite soon after that, but I felt like I wanted to work with plant spirits and plant spirit allies. I didn't necessarily want to be like awake for days, and I wanted it to be a little bit gentler. So I had roses growing in my garden, and I thought I'm going to start to work with the rose, and I'm going to write some poetry to the rose. And I started writing poetry to the rose. And it was so beautiful, because what used to happen is I'd be writing the poetry to the rose and in adoration and love, and then the rose would start, where it felt like the rose would then start writing stuff through me. So then the rose would then say, and different things. I still have the notebook. I could find it out. So I was making flower essences as well at this time. So I was thanking the rose and making the flower essences, and the rose was letting me know what it wanted to bring to the world, but through this flower essence, and then just channeling through different messages. It was so beautiful. So started there, and then of course I had that experience in pregnancy, and I just feel like the rose is such a beautiful plant spirit ally, because she's so very, very gentle, but also so deep and so healing. So I've also done a rose dieta, and I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to be feeling ecstatic every day. And then I was crying quite a lot of the time. But in a beautiful way, I felt so held by her. But as she just opened and unfurled the heart, all those things were just so held, and felt so safe to come and be felt and seen and witnessed in beauty and in love. So I just feel like she's the right plant spirit ally for me at the moment, with the gentleness and also supporting with motherhood, because also with motherhood, these sensual practices and coming into love and beauty really help with being more playful and more vibrant. Especially on those days where might be feeling a little bit tired or overwhelmed, but there's a lot on. If you can really open your heart to the rose and feeling that beauty and that love, then there's a little bit more radiance for play and all the things that the children like. So it's been such a powerful ally in motherhood as well.
Because I think that oftentimes when we talk about opening the heart, it's like you just think, the heart's going to open, and it's going to be just like light and bliss and everything. But in order for the heart to open, the layers have to fall away, and the layers are often tears. And so when we drop into that space and allow like the tears of the heart to come forward, they're really actually, it's a blessing, isn't it? Because in those tears, then the heart is able to open, and
feeling it.
It's so beautiful. The rose is just, she's so powerful, isn't she? And I feel the same, like that real deep rooted like power and strength and so like she feels just so strong to me. It's like vroom. But then that magnetic, like sensual, like heart, like blossoming, like creative energy, sexual energy, everything's just like wow. I feel like she holds it all.
Yeah.
She holds it all.
Yeah,
she
with the
holds it
thorns as
all,
well, and the
yeah.
boundaries as well.
Yeah, just full power to the rose. Oh, beautiful. Okay, my love, will you take us through a little practice so that we can do together?
Yeah.
Okay. So we explain what the practice is.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it really simple today, and we're just going to be connecting with our bodies and allowing whatever like wisdom our bodies want to share with us to move through. And then maybe we can do a little, I'll bring the rose in as well. So, but just keeping it really simple. Okay. So just taking a deep breath. And just allowing on the out breath any sound to come out, just whatever it is, this is your sound. Just trusting that this sound is exactly what your body needs to do, to move anything, to feel anything, and just that frequency and vibration of your sound and your voice is exactly what you need in this moment. And as you're doing that, just inviting your body into this space. Sometimes with the mind and everything that's going on, we forget to invite the body in. So with your intention, inviting your body, saying hello to your body. And as you do that, you might notice, it might be an area in the body that feels tight or might need a little movement. So just tuning in and trusting the wisdom of your body to guide you, and seeing if there's a gentle movement. And if there's a very gentle movement, seeing if there's an impulse to expand. And just looking for any areas that might be holding something. So that could feel like tightness. It could feel like a sensation, like a hot or a cold. So just being aware of that internal flow of sensation and being lovingly present with the sensation, and then with your awareness, meeting that sensation with movement. I'm feeling already straight away this tightness at the back of my neck. So I'm just moving my neck around. And there's tightness in my jaw. So just being aware of where this tightness is held. And you will find that as you open these places that are holding things, and the jaw as well is really connected through the fascia all the way through the womb, through the cervix. As we open these places, our body is more available to receive and to receive pleasure, love, abundance.
I'm sorry, that's Luna the cat in the back.
That's brilliant. Just allowing yourself to meet whatever it is that's present. And then after that, again, landing into the body, bringing your awareness into the body. Making another noise or a sound. And just feeling yourself in a little bit deeper embodiment. Luna. And then we can as well put a hand on the body and we can just see how the body would like to be touched. So is your body feeling like firm pressure? Would you like a gentle stroke? You know, so just tuning in with your body, what she would like, what she needs, just responding to her and listening to her. So we'll take a moment to do that. So seeing if your body, and sometimes my body likes a light touch, And sometimes it's really good for her to feel like a firm pressure, and me to be like, I've got you, I'm here. Just taking a moment to tune in and follow your inner wisdom, what your body needs. Oh, Luna's licking my hand.
Oh, thank you. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, so that's just a really simple practice just to get started and tune in. And then from there, we can start to invite more pleasure into the body, because just even from that moment of allowing some of the tension patterns to move, there's more space. So yeah, just feeling then that expansion that's available. And as we expand, and just feeling the difference between contraction and expansion, and you can even go in and out of that contracted tight feeling that we might have on a busy day with things going on, and then expanding and looking for openness in the body and allowing. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
That was helpful, very simple, starting new. And then from there, you can as well explore bringing in more pleasure or pain or grief or whatever it is that you are ready to meet. And that's why I specialize in self-holding. So being able to hold these places yourself.
Yeah. Wow, beautiful. Oh, even with the life disruption of Luna, actually, I really feel that my heart feels softer and just like, a letting go.
It is like a softening and opening. That's the energies, and that's the energies for the birthing. There's softening and then opening, and then softening and then opening.
Yeah,
together. Beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, amazing. And so those women that are pregnant or on their conception journey, how can they find you? What's the best way to work with you? What would you suggest?
I would love to connect with you. So yeah, the work can start. I work with conscious sensuality and sexuality, conscious conception, birth recoding, and then my actual signature. So that's a lot of that is one-to-one. So people can just contact me anytime. And then my signature program, Embodied Birth Experience, people can sign up anytime. There's a group program, there's an online version as well. So yeah, you can find me Freya Rose Birch on Instagram. I would absolutely love to connect, and I'm really open for, you know, my inbox is a safe space for a connection and a chat. So yeah, would love to connect with any of you, and thank you for being here.
Amazing. And super, super, super exciting news is that Freya and I are holding a one-day retreat together on the Luna's now nipping her.
I see.
She's a law unto herself, this cat, I swear.
Do some random spontaneous
anyway, so on the 22nd of June, so on the solstice tide, we're coming together to hold a retreat in Avalon, and it's called Rose Womb Heart Alchemy. And basically it's a day dedicated to connecting to the rose, connecting to the plant spirit of the rose, allowing yourself to meet her and allowing her to talk through you as well. And then Freya and I are so deeply into womb and heart alchemy, and our whole days really revolve around connecting to our wombs, connecting to our hearts. And with the presence of the rose, it's just so exquisite. Like our hearts can open, our wombs can open, the cervix, the yoni. And so it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day, and to be together. And our connection is just so joyful and playful. So we're very easily like traveled the realms of going in very, very deep and in a very, very sacred space, and then kind of coming out into this joyfulness and playfulness and sweetness as well. So that's very much like the energy of the day together. And so we would love you to join that as well. That's on the 22nd of June here in Glastonbury. And we'll put the link below. And thank you so much. Thank you everyone that has been here listening, and I really hope that this conversation has been inspiring for you, and you've learned things as well. I know that I do every single time, and literally I can't wait to be pregnant so that Freya can guide me through this. And babe, thank you so much. It's such a joy and such an honor to talk with you. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm so honoured to be co-creating this Rose Day with you. I was so honoured when you asked me, and we've had such a beautiful connection for so long, exploring these realms. It's just been so incredible, and I'm so excited that other women are going to get to experience that with you.
Me too. Oh, sending you all so much love.